We got the good crowd.
Somebody have the ability to check to see if we're online. The audio's on.
Yep.
I can never find it off my
I
phone.
can never find it either, just exasperating.
Stacy's working on it.
Yeah. Well, Stein Excavating CEO, is she looking into it?
Grandkids will stay here. He doesn't text, so
She might be here.
I have a smart TV, I can say remote to my grandkids
She
to
might
stay
be
here.
here. She says if we go party afterward, give her a ring.
Exactly.
Should. He has a
Yeah, looks like
babysitter
you're
issue.
on.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah, do we, am I moving?
Takes a minute to see it.
Hang on. Oh, now it says starting soon, hang on. Nope,
I'll walk around so you can see.
yeah, no, I just, hang on. I just went to the town's website.
He's easy walking around.
No, that's a different meeting.
Says up here it's showing.
No,
'Cause
I went to town website and then clicked on the button that says live stream. No, that's a different meeting, that was January 27th.
Sometimes
Well,
you'll
it's the same exact way every meeting?
It's about a 10-second delay or something.
But you're right, sometimes it'll
In the
show
back, it's on
previous
the top.
meetings.
Yeah, and it says 3 people are watching.
That could be.
We can't see the TV screen. Yeah, I know that. There's nothing I can do to call.
We're going.
We're going?
Susan can see it.
Okay.
Perfect, here we go.
Okay, I'd like to call the Town of Alexandria continued, board meeting to order, September 29th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we've got a public hearing that we're gonna do at 6:15. Before we do that, we're going to, do privilege of the floor, if anybody has, anything they'd like to say. Go ahead.
You okay with? As most people are aware, the town has been involved in some litigation for a couple of years. Yesterday, we got a ruling from Judge McCluskey, and I'm gonna take the time to read it. This is Daniel B. Peterson versus the Town of Alexandria. It's up here for people can watch as I go along here. Versus the Town of Alexandria, New York. The petitioner brought this proceeding pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 4, General Municipal Law, Section 4 of the General Municipal Law, Section 51. The claims under General Municipal Law, Section 51 were previously dismissed. Pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 4, petitioner provided affidavits from more than 25 freeholders of the Town of Alexandria, averring that they believed the town's monies were being unlawfully or corruptly expended. As previously noted by this court, the General Municipal Law, Section 4 was established in 1879 and is overdue for review by the state legislature. The New York State Comptroller's Office now undertakes the issues covered under General Municipal Law, Section 4. However, since the legislature has not changed the law, this court believed it necessary to appoint an expert as authorized by that section. Petitioner has the burden to establish that the monies of the town are being unlawfully or corruptly expended or are being appropriated for purposes to which they are not properly applicable or are being improvidely squandered or wasted. The court received the expert's report and allowed time for the town to have their own expert review the matter and respond. The petitioner thereafter brought an order to show cause seeking the appointment of a receiver to run the town and to restrain the town officers in various aspects of their duties. General Municipal Law, Section 4, however, is limited in the relief it affords. It appears that the petitioner is under the mistaken belief that because the court appointed the expert, the court must accept all the expert's findings. There are problems with the expert's report. The expert did not review the town's latest audits. In addition, the expert believes that changes made As a result of those audits were unauthorized alterations by the town officials, whom the expert believed were acting fraudulently. The replies filed by the town show that this is not the case. The court-appointed expert started with the audit of 1999 rather than the audits of years 2013, 2014, 2015, or 2016. During the latter years, the town, based on auditors' recommendations, correctly and legally changed the allocations of various expenses. The report also faults the town for not collecting fees for sewer services from some vacant lots within the district. The New York State Comptroller has ruled that the town cannot collect sewer fees on vacant lots. The town, after receiving the Comptroller's report, corrected this issue. The town conceded that they made an error in collecting fees from some landowners. However, this does not equate to a violation under General Municipal Law, Section 4. The terms used by the legislature when creating this law over 100 years ago clearly sought to avoid unlawful and corrupt spending, as opposed to expenditures based on bad policy or as a result of mistaken belief of what is allowable by law. As to specific individuals not being charged the proper amount for sewer services, the court finds the town has satisfactorily explained the individual cases and demonstrated that no favoritism, nepotism, or improper benefits were conferred upon those town residents. After having reviewed the appointed expert's report and the town's expert's report, along with all the documents submitted under the New York State Court's electronic filing system under index number EF 2019-00000197, the court finds that the petitioner has failed to prove the violation of General Municipal Law, Section 4. It is therefore ordered that the motion brought by order to show cause is denied, and it is further ordered that the petition is dismissed. Signed September 28th, James P. McCluskey, Supreme Court Justice.
That's when we all say, yee-haw, and dance.
In a nutshell, the lawsuit is done.
They found nothing. 2 years of this.
Well, more,
3 years.
two more,
Three.
probably 3, maybe even 4. I mean, it's been a long time.
Any questions or comments from the public?
So, can you go through at this point what the town's expenditure was with the whole lawsuit? How much was spent on it?
I'm sorry, we what?
How much
How
is the
much
town
was spent on the
spent?
lawsuit?
She put some numbers together the other day, and she's been working on this and keeping a tally, and we're $79,000 some odd dollars. We're very close to $80,000.
And I'd like to know, as a taxpayer, who's footing the bill for that?
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Who puts
Who's
the
footing the
bill
bill?
for that?
Currently, that was paid for by the town, okay? And that's who's put the bill now. One of the things that our accountant has looked into is legally who has to foot the bill. And I believe he said it to us publicly, and this has been said before, that since the lawsuit was against the Redwood Sewer District, it has to be paid for by the Redwood Sewer District, is what we were told by our accountant.
Can't you put a lawsuit against the 25 freeholders?
It's 43.
Or how many, 43?
43.
By the way, for the 43 freeholders who caused the sewer running for public office, Dan Peterson is running for supervisor, Gene Kring is running for town council, Mike Tibbles, highway superintendent, unopposed, and Julia Earp, village mayor, running for village mayor. A complete list of these signers is public knowledge and available. They have cost the sewer district somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000. We haven't totaled it up yet.
But
We don't have all the bills in. We've been asking for some, we know there's some more bills out there, so that figure I gave you is not complete, it's not a total.
But to answer your question, from my point, we are going to pursue whatever is necessary, whatever is possible to recoup that money rather than have it fall on the shoulders of the Redwood Sewer customers, because that's just plain wrong.
There's no way that these customers of the sewer districts can handle this because it's gonna double what they already owe.
Right.
And most of them really know what's going on,
Exactly.
so we gotta go after them.
And there wasn't anything in Dan Peterson's initial motion, or I thought I had read somewhere that if they lost the lawsuit, that they were responsible for the town's expenses, because they're the ones that brought the lawsuit against the town.
We've looked at the paperwork involved in that, and we've talked to our lawyer about it, and he is telling us that if the town was found guilty of these charges, the corruption and the fraud and all that the town would have to pay their fees for legal and accounting.
Okay, there.
And if it wasn't that way, then they, the petitioner and the freeholders would have to pay it. So obviously it's been dismissed, so those bills are their burden. But there's nothing that we see that talks about the fees that the town has incurred, which is, as I said, $80,000 or more. There's been a bunch of taxpayers in the last 12 or 18 hours that have got a hold of us that would like to join in to seek, as Mike said, recouping our cost.
But again, these $80,000 to $100,000 will get charged to the Redwood Sewer District, unless we are successful in doing something about that.
We would hope that maybe the people of the sewer district might do something. Actually, we're all getting sick of going to court and suing people, but there's no way the people in Redwood Sewer District should get handed this bill.
Right.
They did not cause it.
Right.
These people who brought this bill against us were told at the beginning they were wrong. The judge said that there was no corruption, right? And then, here we are. So, I would say there should be a day of reckoning.
Yes.
Now it's the time to speak. We've been quiet.
Any other questions or comments? We're at 1 minute to go for this public hearing.
I just, sitting here, listening to you guys talk, I just wanna make clear, you're not saying that the town board in the town is going to go after them. There's a private group of taxpayers that want to go after him, that are willing to front the cost for a lawsuit to go after Dan Peterson to recoup this money. That's what they're looking for, is to recoup this money. And then, I've heard comments that it would be donated back to the town to help pay for that money. But it's not something that the town board is discussing to do. These are other individuals, private individuals, that are upset about this, and
That's a good point, Sandy, because we need to make sure it's real clear that the town is not gonna take any further action, any legal action. It would have to come from outside of the town board or the town people.
I think if I was one of the people that signed one of his affidavits, I'd be a little hot too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 43 of them. I say, hey, you came to me and said this is wrong, I signed this, now what's happened, pal?
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't it be an automatic thing? It's an automatic thing if you guys were wrong. Shouldn't it be an automatic thing then if you were wrong and then you would have to pay their legal fees? Shouldn't it be an automatic thing that they would have to pay your legal fees?
You would think.
I understand what you're saying, and the other thing that hasn't been mentioned is that 8 past supervisors and board members are personally named in this lawsuit to be financially responsible. So this has been a huge decision for those 8 people, because everybody has been worried about what the decision may be, even though many of us felt in our own minds that we knew that there'd been nothing fraudulent or corrupt. But I believe there was over 900 pages of documents submitted to the Supreme Court judge that he had to review to make this decision.
But on a completely different note, our supervisor has done a phenomenal job through this entire thing. Our bookkeeper, Nicole Millsap, over the top, good work. Our town attorney has been incredibly good. And the accountant that we hired to take care of this, Mike Lassonde, has been a genius.
I mean, one of the things that we've all incurred, myself, the bookkeeper, and all the board members, along with some employees, is just, this has been going on. The lawsuit was filed on December 2nd of 2018. It started happening, probably at least a year before that. And the FOIL requests and the information that this town has had to provide, and just the continued answering of questions, has really made it hard for us to deal with regular town business and go forward and deal with the things that we need to deal with to help the town of Alexandria and help us all move forward. So this is a big relief that we can get back to our real town business that we need to deal with, which is something that Sandy and Mike Fayette and Dale Ramo and Jamie Papin and a few others have been working on for, I wanna say, you've been meeting for 18 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
18 months, they've been meeting once a week on these ordinances and on the situations that we learned from the comptroller's audit. And they've been meeting once a week. They're to a point now where they're gonna start to make some amendments and changes that need to be done. And our public hearing is at 6:15, so on that note, I'd like to, Sandy, if you could take over.
Yep, okay.
We gotta open the public hearing.
Yep, I will. This meeting has been adjourned from the September 15th meeting, to hear public comment in connection with proposed amendments for, Otter Street, Water District. Public notice of this hearing was advertised in both the Thousand Island Sun and in the Watertown Daily Times, both of which are newspapers in general circulation. At September 15th meeting, ordinance number 1 of 2021 was introduced and seconded. This amendment is to amend, it's an ordinance amending the Otter Street amended and restated water use ordinance. The purpose of this amendment is to address findings made by the state comptroller in its report 2019 to the effect that the town was improperly charging unconnected and vacant properties for the capital cost of the district by means of imposing EDU unit charges as quarterly charges on those properties. Rather, accordingly to the comptroller's guidance, the town is and was otherwise authorized to impose beneficial assessments on each parcel within the district to recoup these costs. So the town board subcommittee, composed of Mike Fayette and myself, in reporting to the town itself, has developed a method of computing this assessment for each water district. And the public hearing is open. So if anyone from the Otter Street Water District has any questions.
So you're doing each district separately, right?
Each district will be separate. The first one is Otter Street. Does anyone have a question before we start? Otherwise, I will give a little bit of information and background. And if I'm not clear enough, or would you two rather?
But you're doing great.
Fill in if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what has happened is, we all know when we have large capital projects, we borrow money. So we have to pay this money back. The question is, who should be responsible for these individual districts? Is it everybody in the district? You know, if you fall within the boundaries of the district, should everybody pay the same amount? Should you be billed quarterly? Should you be billed annually? Should it be off of your assessed value of your home? There have been all kinds of questions and theories brought out. The comptrollers have said you cannot bill quarterly, which is what we have been doing.
For unconnected properties.
Correct, for unconnected property.
And we were doing that as far back as 1993.
But the reason why we did that is because the ordinance said we could, but then the comptrollers in 2018, I think
2018.
had let us know that you could not do that. But we were following an ordinance that said we could.
And they had also obviously following what the town had done since 1993.
Right. So with these new developments and lawsuits, the very first meeting that I was at, there was a lawsuit that I got the privilege of abstaining from, because I didn't know enough about it at the time. So what we have come up with to make all the districts equal, if there is a capital payment still due, which 2 of our districts do not have them, but Otter Street, Route 12, and Redwood do. you're going to get billed the capital part of the cost of these districts on your tax bill.
On an annual basis.
On an annual basis, one time. So, this is the one part that I think will be confusing for some people. Because most people will think if you're a user, that means when you turn the spigot on, you're gonna get water from the town. Well, when they ran these lines, if they ran a line to your house, or they put a meter pit, or a sump, or a connection, if they spent extra money to get it to you, and then you decided, oh, I didn't want it, or I'm not gonna hook up right now, we just want it in case our well goes bad, or our well goes dry, you are considered to have service. You are considered to have service. So there's basically 3 categories. You're too far away, we couldn't get to you, you're landlocked.
You're unbuildable.
Unbuildable lots, too small, there might be a billboard on it, but it's not big enough to build, but there's no way that you would ever get water there, you're zero. You're not gonna pay anything.
As far as capital, well, anything, you're right.
You're not gonna pay anything.
Yep.
If the line ran in front of you, and you can hook in, if you so desire at some point in time, but you didn't, and you didn't do anything when the district was going in, you are a 0.5. You will be billed annually. For the Otter Street district, which is the one we're talking about right now, that cost.
Well then, everybody that is connected starts off as a 1.
Right.
And then we have a sliding scale, and this applies to all water districts, based on water use, annual water usage. If you're greater than 150,000 gallons, then it would go from a 1 to a 3. And then there's a chart that progressively goes higher.
Right, and the ordinance, and I read that at the last meeting, so if anyone would like to see a copy of it.
A typical family home doesn't come anywhere near 150,000.
No, not at all. So for 1 unit, if you're in Otter Street, your cost is going to be $392. So if you live in the Water Street district and you are receiving water, expect your tax bill to go up $392. Not tax,
Right,
it is a capital assessment for water in that district.
What's currently happening, that charge, it ends up in your quarterly bill. So your quarterly bill is gonna see a bunch of different things, and that portion of it won't be on that bill anymore. It'll show up in your taxes.
Correct.
So Sandy, those places that you just said it was 0.5, that if it went by the front of your property, so when you say 0.5, you mean 1/2 the $392.
Correct.
I just wanted to explain that.
Yeah, we can't, we've been instructed, you can't, a common phrase is EDU, equivalent dwelling, you can't use that phrase for this purpose. So we came up with a completely different numbering system.
Right.
I think I was gonna ask what Brent just said, so 392 would be EDU, one
No.
EDU, no?
It's not an EDU.
Not an EDU.
It is a unit cost.
So 392 is the unit cost if you have water or don't have water?
If you have water.
Okay, so if you don't, it would be half of that. I think that's what Brent just, okay.
Yeah, correct.
Just wanna make sure I get that right.
And 98% of everyone in the district, that is what, they will have one or the other. However, if you have commercial users that use a lot of water, then there is a chart, and wherever their prior year's annual usage was, wherever they fall in that chart, that's how many units they will be charged.
So the 392 is per year, so it's
Yes.
a one-shot deal, okay,
Yeah,
Per year, per unit.
per year.
per year,
Okay.
per unit.
For how
And,
long?
and until the loan is paid
Until the
off.
loan is paid off, but,
And that number's generated by the number of these units, either ones or halves or some other number, and then divided against how much the annual debt payment is.
Total debt.
Right, so it's directly connected to the debt payment of that district. So when Stacy's, or Sandy's rather, is gonna mention other districts, that number, that's 392, it's gonna be a different number for each of these districts.
That's my spiel. Any other questions,
Not so just in my district.
comments?
Now, I don't know if does this only refer to this annual charge, none of the other charges?
For the case of the hearing, Mike,
Yeah,
yes, that's all we're looking to change.
Okay.
Everything else will be generated on a quarterly bill if in
Right.
fact you
Okay.
are.
So we're not, I'm just saying, we don't need to talk about that.
Right.
Okay.
okay, with that, we will close the public hearing for ordinance number 1 dated September 15th, 2001. And we will move on, the second one is at 6:30, so we'll start with ordinance number 2. Same exact thing, ordinance number 2 of September 15th. This is for this is for the Redwood Water District. All the same things that I said previously are in effect. We will open the public hearing. Does anyone have any questions on Redwood Water District?
Yeah, so can you explain, how long is that, cause now you're saying that this is gonna be assessed to our taxes?
Mhm.
Okay, so people who have escrow, so you know that now our taxes are going up, are you planning on sending us a letter so to let us know that we're gonna take a major hit to our taxes?
It's a good question.
Well,
I mean, I think
we talked about doing that. The funny thing too, that, you know, that I understand, cause I live in Odyssey Water District, so I'm impacted by this. But for the first time ever, a portion of, you know, if you can itemize, especially if you have escrow, that means you have a mortgage, right? But for the first time ever, you'll be able to write off, if your deductions are greater than the standard deduction, a portion of your water bill. It may not be a lot.
Well,
That being said, that's not her question, and that is we haven't discussed that, but that is a good point, because we have water bills that are getting ready to go out next week, and that should be included in it.
That should be, because.
That is a very good point.
Because
and
it's gonna raise your payment to your monthly payment on your mortgage.
absolutely, because I know I've talked to my daughter, and she called her bank yesterday, and she said, hey, I want to raise, my escrow, so I'm not hit so bad, and she said,
they will do it, like mine starts in October, so if they don't have this by then, cause I know that's what they do with mine. So once this hits, if I'm depleted, I'm gonna get hit next year at the end with a big number. So if people don't know this ahead of time, I think you guys would do disservice by not putting a letter in, to let them know you're gonna get hit. Cause you're gonna have people mad if you don't.
So if I'm correct, Redwood is gonna be a $313 charge per unit. So if you are a residential customer, you will get an additional $313 charge on your January tax bill. So just for your purposes, right here, right now, that's the number.
So I know my escrow, if I take that 313 divided by 12.
Correct.
I know how much more I gotta put in there per month.
Because the other thing with banks, when they get hit with this stuff, 'cause I know I dealt with it with my daughter, you 313 divided by 12 is $30 a month, basically. They're gonna hit you with like $100 a month in your mortgage, and then next year go, oh, we got too much.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
that's
That's
a
what I'm
great
saying,
point,
so
and so, just so you're aware, to contact your bank, $313 is the number we've got right now. So you're looking at about a $30 a month increase in your escrow to cover that additional cost.
So I wanna ask Stacy,
If you guys are going to make extra payments with your mortgage payments specifically to go towards escrow, make sure that I would speak to somebody at your bank.
You have to
Tell them you
that
want
it's
that amount to
escrow.
go into your escrow, because if you just send it in with your payment, they will just apply it
That's
to
what they-
principal.
No, I already know that, but
Yeah.
My question is how much is remaining
how many years?
how many years are left on Redwood, and how much money's left? Okay,
Well, when was the Redwood Water put in, 2007?
a long time ago.
It looks like a 38-year.
there's 100,000 here. The question is,
I think it's like a 38-year
what the debt is?
term.
no,
So,
do not, that's not.
if it was 2007, that was what, 13 years ago? So 13 minus 38, about 25 years ago.
Oh, okay. Stacy, I wanted to ask you, you work at a
I won't be
bank,
there.
normal procedure
For sale.
with mortgages and so on and so forth, should the town should notify, as she said, we should notify each,
Taxpayer. So you would wanna notify each taxpayer so that they can then go to the bank and say, hey, this is what's coming down the road.
yeah,
And, you know, then find out from their individual bank what the best way is to handle it.
right. So, and because each taxpayer that has a mortgage might have a different amount, depending on if they're 0.5 or if they're 1 or if they're commercial, not only should we notify them, but we should tell them in dollars and cents
Correct,
what the change is that correct?
yeah.
Okay.
We know that.
We know that.
Yep, we have that. We've got charts on
When
it.
does this change take effect, October first?
No, January first.
January.
So for this year, your water bills will stay the same, and then actually your January, this is where it's gonna hurt, because your January bill is from October to December through December, so you're gonna get a normal bill. And then in January, you're also gonna get hit with that $313, but then in March, when you get the next bill,
Can somebody just come in and write a check to the town of Alexandria for that extra amount, so it don't even go to the bank? Like you said, mine's gonna be roughly, I'd say $313, so I come down here, $313 for whatever it is, here to the town of Alexandria, cause you're gonna get the money anyways.
The problem with that
Oh, yeah.
would be, is there'd be so much, you know, let's say 10 or 20 or 30 out of however many taxpayers that are gonna be involved in this do that.
Now, it's even simpler
It'd be
than
an
that.
accounting issue to treat.
We have to let the county know all the properties that are gonna be affected by this.
Whether it's
So,
zero or-
they are gonna put it on your taxes. We don't have any control on that
So I
at
can go
all.
to the treasurer's office right across from where I work and say, here, this goes on my, I can pay the $300 whatever dollars on my
I mean,
tax
you
bill.
can't just write a check to the
I don't
town.
know how the county handles
I'll
that.
ask them that, but
I mean,
We have to have our information into the treasurer's office, I'm gonna say within a week, okay? And then it's gonna take them from that period of time to put it on the taxes so that what comes to you in the mail January 1st is correct and, reflects this amendment to the ordinance.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so that's,
so how do you know if you're a 1 or a 5 or a?
if you're a,
But
I do have a chart.
we
I
can
have-
tell you.
Yeah, we can tell you,
At the end of the
we can tell
meeting
you
tonight, come.
how everything is gonna change for you.
You're in the Redwood Water District?
Most,
Yep, just,
the majority of people, you know, single family household home, you are a 1 unit, you're 1. And a single unit is, $313.
do you own any property other than a home?
Nope.
Then that's what it would be.
When I am gonna, isn't in a water district, so.
No, but that's pretty simple, like Sandy just said.
And the Redwood Water District, because there aren't a lot of big commercial, properties, there's only, I think there was 4,
Three that are something other than 1.
no, 4.
4.
There's 4 of,
Okay.
there's 4 of us that are 3s, myself being included.
Are the fire district, the fire department?
No, they
No.
don't use hardly any
Yeah, they
water.
don't use hardly any.
No, you don't use hardly any.
Say our bill's not usually that big.
No, you don't use hardly any water. But there's 3 of us, like me, the laundromat, and a couple of apartment houses.
Right.
And the rest are all single-family homes, they're all 1s, and then people that don't have service, but are on, like, Route 26, that could be hooked up if they wanted, they'll all be a 0.5, so they'd be half of that amount. And now, and a lot of them, we're getting a BA of a small amount,
Like $20 a
but
quarter.
it was quarterly. So it, you know, it'll make billing easier, hopefully.
No, so what do them people pay?
A half of 313.
Yep,
Oh,
a
okay.
half of, yep.
which you just talked about, the BA, which stands for Benefit Assessment. And that's what the town had been doing previously. And that was another item that the comptroller said the town was doing wrong.
Right.
And the town was doing that wrong since the creation of the Redwood Water District. That was, when was that done?
2007.
Yeah. So, and that ordinance was set up, and that was part of the 2018 comptroller's audit, that said that the town was billing improperly, which is one more reason that they've done these amendments.
Were other towns billing the same way though, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to speak on that quickly, John, it's a great point. So I was in Jefferson County Real Property yesterday talking to them about what they need from us to do this. Also, as we traveled these roads to try and get to this solution, I dealt with New York State Assessors Association. Warren Wheeler was the president. And everybody I talked to, they go, "You're doing what?" I told them, "You're doing it why?" They're like, "Everybody does this. Everybody's got the quarter units, the half units. This is gonna upset the whole apple cart potentially." It's insane, to be quite honest with you. The whole state of New York, everybody in every water district and every sewer district that I have spoken with does everything exactly like Alex Bay has done forever.
Doing it wrong, we're the first ones to get caught, right?
We're the first ones, the comptrollers that said, this is wrong. But at some point, the domino's gotta fall, and it's gonna affect everybody in the state of New York, and they're all like, when I talk to them, they're like, "You're kidding me, right?" No. And so, this solution is, you know, we're kind of paving a road for other people to follow that are going, "No, it'll never happen to us." Heads up, yeah.
Just a matter of time.
You stick your head in the sand for a while, but they're gonna pull it out at some point.
Okay, on to the next one.
Okay, anything further for the Redwood public hearing?
Now, thinking too about the Redwood Water District, it's, you know, we have Route 12 in Otter Street, the other two in the town that have capital. Redwood Water District is by far the biggest. It has the most expensive stuff. It has a water tower, has more pipes, and it's older. And so it just got, that's a lot of why the costs are like they are. Cause they're just so much bigger.
Okay, I'm selling as soon as I can anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All
It
right.
wasn't our goal.
It's always been mine, so don't worry, it's not a factor.
Well, the annual debt payment for Redwood Water District is slightly more than $100,000.
What's that?
The annual debt payment for the Redwood Water District is a little bit more than $100,000. It is the elephant in the room. It is the most.
Should we tell them we got some line gonna be replaced shortly?
No.
Doesn't work that way.
Let them go?
Okay, so we're closing the public hearing on the ordinance number 2. Do you want me to wait the 5 minutes?
No, did we have times on those?
I think so, I think it was every 15 minutes.
I mean, I can talk for another 5 if you want.
Yes, you could.
Oh, you shot.
If you wanna wait, I can do.
Throw my shoe at you.
So, real quickly, if we wanna have a quick conversation, just to kill 5 minutes,
I would.
to get into some of this other stuff that Mike, you brought up, it's not really a part of the public hearing, but just to inform yourself and everybody in the room. This whole project we've gone through, and we, in order to recover the quarter units and the half units, we had to go to this annual billing. So that's why, at the end of the day, we decided we're gonna do all capital annually. That gets it off the bill, so you're gonna see your water bill actually decrease, but it's not going down because you're paying it on your taxes. But the other piece of this, and it stems somewhat from the lawsuit, it stems from just good, proper budgeting. There's no money in these districts if there's a problem.
They have no reserves.
So part of what we did in this whole process is we had to look at the whole thing, and we're trying to build a reserve. Now, Redwood being the elephant in the room, and just to not make your day, but to explain to you what's taking place, we're building a reserve fund in every district. And we had a great booklet that Dank did, of all our assets in every district. It was really impressive, to be quite honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Dank, but they did a great job. And So we took that and we come up with replacement costs. And Dan gives us a number that they recommend annually, we put in reserve to have that reserve account, so, again, in Redwood, we've got a section of Redwood that needs to be replaced, because we've had 3 water main breaks there. We've got a water tower that needs a substantial amount of money put into it, to bring it up to where it should be. We just had an inspection done there. We've got, aging equipment at our pump station on going out of Redwood that needs to be upgraded, and everything, when you deal with this, is big money. So, we had to start building reserves, so we took the dank money and it gave us a number. So, to use Redwood, I can't give you exact numbers, Mike's got them, or Sandy's got them probably, but we end up using dank, let's say dank recommended $10,000. We go, if we do that amount, by dividing it out by the users, and 10,000 is not the proper number, it was gonna increase your quarterly bill substantially as well. So we're not trying to, like, our goal wasn't to sell your house and have you move.
Oh, that was,
So we, yeah, we're not trying to run people out, but we've got a lot of people, or a lot of, things coming together at one time here, and like I said, some's part of the lawsuit, some is just good common sense and budgeting that, and some of it just hadn't been looked at in years. So we got Redwood specifically, because of its age and because of its need for stuff, would really have a pretty sizable replacement cost number. We end up using, I think, 25% of that, so that we are accumulating, we are creating a reserve fund, but it's not the reserve fund that they recommend that we accumulate at, or the rate we accumulated at, but had we done that, when we discussed it amongst ourselves, it was gonna be such a big number that would have, fallen over.
Well, one thing too, that most people, they get their water bill, and this is something we're gonna, with our billing, we're gonna try and do this, is, you get your water bill and you think it's just for water, but it's not. There's capital cost paying back the loan, there's actual cost of the water, because the town has to buy the water from the village, because we don't produce our own, and then there's, O&M, operation maintenance, our water operator, any kind of repairs, any of those kind of things, annual costs, that's the O&M part, and then what Dale was talking about is a reserve. So there's 4 components of your bill. Currently, we do not have a dedicated reserve at all. The other thing is, when you get your water bill, it's just a number, and people don't really see that breakout. And
Redwood has 2 numbers, you have your usage and you have, $124.95, which is your capital and your O&M. So now that's gonna be broke out it's gonna be broke out into 2.
So, in a sense, we're gonna be paying once a year, so that.
No. You're gonna pay once a year for just the cap portion.
So the 124 something will probably go down $30 roughly?
No.
No. So the $124.99 will go away, you're not gonna pay your capital on there.
Oh, that's what we were paying for capital every quarter?
Cap and all that.
Oh, okay.
4 times a year.
Your capital fee annually, but it broke down into 4, so you were paying $500 a year, $124.99 times 4.
Well, it's cap and O&M.
Oh, that was cap and O&M, okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay.
So I'm saying, our water bills coming will be.
Well, your cap portion
Yeah.
will be on this annual, on your taxes. But the O&M.
She just said that.
So here's base, if you were understanding what Dale was talking about, to date, the town has never had or established a reserve fund for major expenses. The town has always had a reactive approach. I am very proactive. I would rather have some money saved so that we're not out begging and pounding on doors looking for grants. Grants are great and we need to continue to do that. But we have to have some money in reserve. 3 out of our 5 districts are in a negative balance. We have to make them right. So in Redwood, as Dale was saying, the DANK report wants us to save $120,000 a year. There's no way we can do that. We are going to try to put $30,000 a year in a reserve fund, so that water tower that needs to be painted, that we were told last year was gonna be $70,000. And right now, the Redwood Water only has $21,000 in its bank account. And I don't like using that word bank account because this is government accounting, so all monies are pooled. But they have a due from, which means they have a positive balance of $21,000. We need to increase that because we have some major expenses going. So what's happening in your district, in Redwood, last year you paid $124, which was basically $500 a year for capital and O&M plus your usage. Everything we've talked about tonight has not included usage. We're not including usage in any numbers because that's totally on the consumer. In this year's budget, we're proposing that for Redwood, you're gonna have your, capital cost on your taxes of $313, and then on your O&M and capital reserve, or reserve fund, you can just call it a reserve fund, it's going to cost, $335. So the total for a normal single-family home in Redwood, it's gonna be $648 is what our proposed budget is this year for that.
So basically, my water just went up almost $500 a year.
No, it didn't. It went up $148.
The difference.
If I'm paying, wait a minute, no, hang on. If I'm paying 500 and something right now, and it's going to 6 something, and I'm paying 300.
No.
No, the 300 is included
Oh, okay.
in, the 300 is included in that 648.
Well, he went to the base school, he got a.
No,
That's not how
That's-
it's stating in there.
That,
She just said that,
Yeah.
that was included in there, you didn't.
yeah, it's the two, it's just gonna be broken down
But the-
separately, you know,
but the-
half of it's gonna be paid up front, and then, the $335 per EDU, which you are a single EDU, that will be broke down in your quarterly, billing,
The big,
300 something.
the $335,
the
yeah.
big change,
Right, that's what I said.
And
I'm paying, so our water bill in cents coming to me will look like it's cheaper because you just went from the 5 to the 3.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying. What I get in the mail,
Right,
it's
but-
not gonna be,
but you're gonna see something a little bit more than that. Well, we have, like, say this $20,000 fund balance that they have. What that was is when we're smart with the O&M, and we kinda save a little bit each year, and over a long period of time, it gets to 20,000. That's a crazy way to do things. We're creating a designated, dependable fund every month. So that'll be the biggest, this $125 basically is that. It's a charge you don't currently
I
have.
get that. I just, when I was reading down that, and then I had asked before,
Right.
you know, about my bill going down, and it was said no, and I'm still paying the 300 something more, I'm putting it in my head. I'm good with numbers, that's why I asked.
Right.
You know?
That's why we're here.
Andy, annually, what will Redwood be paying in their water bill, less usage?
Annually, for everything?
No cap, the caps in their taxes. So their quarterly water bill, if they're a 1,
It'll be approximately $85.
Right.
So yes, it is going down. I was looking at the total number for the year.
And that's what I meant by that,
Yeah.
because when you said 124,
Yeah.
and then, and you had said it had that capital whatever in it.
Yeah.
Then I'm going, well, if that's 30 some odd dollars a month, or, you know what I mean?
right?
I'm going,
Yeah,
I'm putting it in my
so,
head.
yes, looking at it that way, yes. I was
Right.
looking at the total number at the end, that's why I was like, no, it's not going down, because I was thinking about the total number for both for the year. I was looking at the annual cost.
No, I'm good with it, I'm
So-
good.
But I would definitely make sure that you put, because you will do a disservice and you will make people mad if you do not warn them ahead of time that their taxes, if
I
you don't.
That's why I took out an ad in last week's paper, and I'm like, please come,
But I would put that
please be
also
here.
with their bills, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't read the paper.
Yep, and I only had one person that called me to ask me any questions, and I'm like, oh, But anyway,
Well, no, we-
all right,
We are
Move on.
definitely gonna do that.
So the deal about the reserve funds, I just wanna add that the comptroller's report from 2018, it noted in the report that we didn't have reserve funds established. And they want 2 reserve funds for every fund. And that's what part of this, that's what a good part of this is all about.
I get that, you have pipe breaks, you fix it up,
Well, no,
and all of a sudden, you know, you go to the taxpayers and say,
But the
oh,
other
your
thing is-
water bill's gone up.
It's even
because we had
crazier than
to
that,
fix
like,
this, you know?
like we've been talking about this cap business, and this, we borrowed a bunch of money, millions of dollars to put that in. And 38 years later, it should be all paid for. If you go get grants, you know, unless it's free money, but it's usually not, you just extend in that. You just never go, you never pay the mortgage off, it just keeps on going.
A little like T.I. Gray was supposed to, not, you know.
So
have to have a
if you
thing.
build you have a decent enough reserve fund, so you can address things like the water tower without having to borrow money, you can work towards paying that off, and that's what the goal is here. And then once that's done, this $313 disappears.
okay, that one's closed. Now we're gonna open up ordinance number 3, dated September 15th, 2021. An ordinance amending the Town of Alexandria Water Use Ordinance of Route 12 District adopted in October of 2015. You want me to read all the stuff again? It's all the same stuff. Okay, public hearing is open. There's nobody here from Route 12. Okay, so I will just give you the numbers and, so Route 12, Route 12 has a capital cost per year of $38,860. Their cost per unit, per 1 unit, is $434. Their cost per EDU for O&M and reserve is going to be $364 a year. So their total cost per family is $798. They are the highest
Well,
in the district.
they have less users, that's what hurts them. Redwood has more users, so it helps them.
And if you go to the reserve fund money on that one, we end up using what percentage there?
Did we do 100% for
Which is a little bit easier to
them?
swallow because it's a newer district, newer material, newer equipment, so there should be less need for reserve right now. But as you can see, they went up to almost $800 a year. If we went to 100% of the reserve that Dank had requested, it'd have been the same thing. We'd have been near probably $1,000. So we went, I think we used 25% there as well.
I don't think we did. I think we stayed at 100% for
Oh, was it
that.
Otter Street we cut
Because,
back?
no, the
I
only
think
one we cut back on was Redwood Water and Redwood Sewer.
Oh, okay.
And part of the reason for Redwood Water not, cutting back is they have a deficit of 23,000 in their district. So they need to make up 23,000 before we can even start to put money in a reserve. So, it's gonna take us, you know, it's gonna take us a full year just to get caught back up on what they're behind.
This is for Route 12.
This is for Route 12, and that is something that the comptroller has said, they're supposed to be paid back
Yeah.
to the general fund within a year, and this is how we're gonna do it. And it's a hard nut,
Yeah.
but,
Each district is like a little government, can only take care of themselves. They can't get money from the outside, or if they do it within the fiscal year, not just a year, within the fiscal year, has to be paid back.
Where does the Redwood district start? Just outside
Right.
the village?
You know where the pump station is?
Yeah.
Basically,
Right there.
right around
All the way
there,
up, okay.
and
yeah.
that way. Yep.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Any questions? Okay, we will close the public hearing for ordinance number 3, September 15th, 2021, for Route 12. Where's my instructions here? Okay,
That
Now,
would be a roll call vote
we
on
need to do a roll call vote on each one,
separately.
yep, separately. So since we don't have a town clerk, got a pen? Oh, yep, I got one. For ordinance number 1 of September 15th, 2021, for the town of Alexandria, and an ordinance amending the Otter Street and restated water use. Yeah, I need to read this whole thing since I read it the first time?
No, I don't think so.
We'll do a roll call vote, because we had the motion and second last time, now we're gonna roll call. Brent Sweet, Town Supervisor.
Yes.
Ronnie Thompson is absent. John Stein, Board
Yes.
Member. Mike Fayette.
Yes.
Sandra Caputo, yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Next ordinance number 2, call for a roll call vote for, amending the town ordinance water use for Redwood Water District. Supervisor Brent Sweet.
Yes.
Ronnie Thompson's absent. John Stein.
Yes.
Mike Fayette.
Yes.
Sandra Caputo, yes.
Motion passed.
Were we supposed to introduce these and second them again?
No, we already did that.
Okay.
I don't believe.
Okay, motion passed. Ordinance number 3 of September 15th, 2021, and ordinance amending the Town of Alexandria Water Use Ordinance for Route 12 Water District adopted in October 15th, or October 2015, sorry. I introduced it last week, Mike seconded it. Roll call vote, Supervisor Brent Sweet.
Yes.
Ronnie Thompson absent. John Stein.
Yes.
Mike Fayette.
Yes.
Sandra Caputo, yes. Motion passed.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 2, Municipal Solutions Contract. I think everybody has a picture, copy of that in front of them. And this is for financing on our Route 12 Sewer District. The rate is, $148 per hour, not to exceed $5,500. This is a requirement of the financing for the Route 12 Sewer District.
Is this their fees for putting it out to bid? Is that what this is? Cause we're waiting for that to go to bid, right?
Fiscal services, they have 7 items they've listed: work with the engineer, assist in preparation of financial information, provide assistance with long-term closing with Clean Water State Revolving Fund, advise the town as required principal and interest payments, prepare various maturity schedules for town officials to determine repayment of anticipated borrowed funds, convert financial documents into usable formats, compliance with IRS, MSRB, and SEC regulations, advise town of additional funding opportunities that may arise for the project, provide other financial consulting services as may be requested by the town. They deal with the conflicts of interest and other disclosures, basically an explanation of everything they have here.
This is a requirement of the lending agency to have something like this. Not necessarily these folks, but something like this.
Yeah, I remember this from the last one we did. You need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept this contract from Municipal Solutions for the financing of the startup of Route 12 sewer.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sandy, second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Motion passed. Number 3, we've already done that. Mike's read the ruling. There's copies of the ruling in the corner if anybody needs them, or anybody from the public that is listening, if they want them, I can email them to them, or get them paper copies.
Can we have that put on the town's website?
Yeah. The next item is the suit coat bill, that the highway superintendent wanted us to, approve, for payment. I believe he's in the process of submitting everything for his CHIPS monies, and he's trying to get everything done. That's why this is not at our regular monthly meeting.
Okay.
This was, for item 302 stabilized base, 18.56 ton at $39.95 per ton. It's a bill for $826.11. I need a, this is on number 6 road, the surface treatment. Need a motion to accept that, motion by John,
I'll second it.
second by Sandy, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, none. New business, I don't have anything.
I do.
Yep.
While we were at crunch time, pulling from 3 different directions on all the different accounts, I was verifying each account that it was in the district and stuff on the, DANK website. And there's 2 accounts in the Redwood Sewer District, account number 156, which is Elliot Hillbeck. He's currently being billed a BA of $15 and $2.24, totaling $17.24. He is not receiving water, obviously. He's not even in the district. He would like water, and he's very pro us. He's not in the district, and he's not getting water. He should not being billed.
He's not the only one.
The second one is account number 171, which is the Indian River Lakes Conservatory, is being billed a BA of $15 and a second one of 19 cents for a total of $15.09. They are also not receiving water or in the district, so that's gonna be my second one of the motion. In Route 12, currently, the way the Route 12 district works is if you're not hooked up, you get charged a half a unit, is what we'll call it. There are 2 accounts, and one came in within the last month and let our bookkeeper know she was very unhappy, that are being billed full units. So I would like to make a motion, well, we'll start with the first 2 first. I would like to make a motion that account number 156 and 171 be discontinued billing completely, forever and always, or unless they get put in the district and get water.
Is it both the same, isn't Elliot Hillbeck the same as Indian Lake?
I think so, but they've got it billed two separately, because they shouldn't be getting billed. I don't know why it was never picked up, but.
So is he getting 2 bills?
Going to 2
To
different.
the same place though, isn't it?
So they're,
No, there's
2 different parcels.
2 different parcels.
so they're getting billed. Who started billing them, or when was it started billing them?
Before we came along.
Yeah, before we came along.
And so that means that they were put into our billing system for water or sewer. This is for water.
Water.
They were put into our system incorrectly way back. Jamie, that stuff is inputted into our system, and that's done by the water and billing administrator, correct? From the beginning. Obviously, I know you don't do that.
No.
But I'm just trying to see what happened and where. Okay.
Okay. 2, yeah, are you done?
Yep, that's my first motion.
Okay. All right, are we gonna do?
Did you make the motion?
I made the motion, will somebody second?
I will second that.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
Okay, so the second 2, they're a different scenario. They're in the Route 12 Water District. They should have, according to the ordinance up to now, been getting billed a half of an EDU. They've been getting billed a full EDU, or unit, whatever you wanna call them, I don't care. And one of them did pick up on it and came in and complained. What I would like to do is, effective immediately, because neither one of them receive a service, so they will no longer get quarterly bills. They've already paid for 2 quarters this year, which if they were billed at a half, since they were billed a full, they've actually
For the
paid
whole year.
this year's for the whole year. What I would like to make a motion is that account number 2015 and 2004, which is Brian Davis and Timothy Kring, they stop getting billed for the last 2 quarters of this year, and then they will resume their proper billing effective January 1st with the new,
Amended ordinance.
amended ordinance.
Yep. So that's your
my
motion? Yep.
Okay, I will second that.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None.
Okay, Nicole has to get these in the morning so that they hit this billing cycle that's getting ready to go out.
Okay, that's all I have. Is anything you have?
Okay, I had one more thing, on the same, line of, that, Sandy's going on. In our in-depth, well beyond a year, looking at, the water and sewer district, is, we kinda came across, there's also the others, kinda looking at, you know, kind of the other end of it. We have, what, about a dozen users, and I believe that's pretty much primarily in the Redwood Water District. Well, they're not in the Redwood Water District, yet they are actually, the reverse of what Sandy just got to say, they are actually receiving water, but they're not in the district. They've been paying right along, just like a regular person, but they're not in the district. Now, the scenario that we just got done talking about, going to the county, and with the capital charges, that's everybody, that affects everybody in the district. But since they're not in the district, they would not get captured. So, there's,
Even though they're in the town?
doesn't matter if they're in the town, it's the district that drives things. Okay, we could either have an outside user agreement with them and capture those costs that way, but I would think it'd make a lot more sense is we amend the district boundary. Then they get captured just like everybody else, and then we just go forward just how everybody else is treated.
Which is easier to do, amend the district boundary or create an outside user agreement?
And that's a question for Bob Sly to answer.
I don't think it's very easy either. We're talking hearings and.
I don't think we've ever done an outside user agreement, or I don't even know if we've amended our boundaries.
Didn't we do an outside user agreement for the people on Butterfield Lake that asked to be put into the Redwood Sewer District where we hooked up the double pot at the bottom of the lake? And didn't we have?
Hi, guys.
Thank
Thank you for that
Okay,
advice.
Didn't we have Bob Sly do an outside user agreement for that? I believe we did.
yeah, but I would prefer the
Change
other,
the boundary?
go the other route, move the
Okay.
boundaries.
Would you talk to Bob Sly about it?
Okay, well, because that needs to get resolved, because that is connected to this thing, you know,
All these changes, yeah.
these changes that we're talking about, because otherwise they won't get captured and they won't pay their portion.
Yep.
Like everybody else that is an actual user of the system.
Okay. Okay, so if you talk to Bob Sly about it, I don't have anything else.
I have, when's the sewer bill go out for Redwood?
Well, the quarter starts in October 1st, so I can't tell you the exact date.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could put a copy of this bill? This is directly affecting them.
If that's what you guys wanna do, I mean,
What do you think?
A copy of the decision and order from the Supreme Court judge.
Yeah.
Well, everything was about Redwood Sewer. It's all, and it's gonna affect Redwood Sewer because we all are scared of what could happen to the rate if that,
But
at $80,000 has to come out of there.
would that change the cost of the mailing?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Because it just adds more to Redwood Sewer. I'm just,
So the next billing goes out in October.
yes, like next week.
First 10 days of October.
Yeah, what, you're gonna do your reading,
Probably the fourth.
Charlie?
I'll read the fourth, so it'll probably go out the other next week.
Yeah.
So, 9th, 8th or 9th.
Just a thought.
No,
I'll fold them and stuff them.
well, I suppose if we did double-sided, it won't be that bad,
Yeah, that's true.
because it's not that big a document. I was going on.
No, I was quite pleased. I mean,
I just don't wanna increase
it
the
well in
postage
3
because then
pages.
it just gets passed on.
huh?
I just hate the thought of increasing, it sounds stupid, increasing the postage.
Because of the weight.
Because eventually the Redwood sewer users will end up having to pay it, you know? But if it doesn't affect that,
Somebody wanna
it's good information.
make a motion we do that, or you wanna wait till?
I think it should be out in public, and people, I mean, if everybody gets a bill, if they don't read it, that's their own problem. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to put a copy of every bill, every sure it is.
Motion by John.
Okay, okay, I'll second that, as long as it doesn't get crazy expensive.
Second by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay.
All those
I
opposed?
just don't know. I say no. I say nay, but three, pass, go for it.
So you say no?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just not sure it's the right format myself. I'm just not crazy about it, but if you guys wanna do it, you can do it. It's a majority.
Yep. Okay, motion's passed. I don't have anything else. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second by Sandy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but, you know, if we're gonna have all this trouble, we're gonna put these little letters in to kind of let people know how their bill's being affected, this kind of falls into that same. I hear what you're saying though.
yeah.
Well,
I wish we knew for sure which way the law is gonna go if we absolutely have to pass it on, because I don't want it to be a scare tactic.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? That's my,
I think
you know, you've gotta,
I think before we stuff in the envelopes, we better try to get assurance of that.
yeah.
well, I mean, all
I
we're doing is giving them a copy of what we got.
Right, but Sandy's saying that that's a tactic that's gonna say this $80,000, or this bill has to be paid by the Redwood sewer user.
Doesn't say that in here, does it?
No, it does not say that.
I'm not saying that. I'll say that, but I'll agree with you on this.
you know,
I'll put a thing in the paper. I don't care. There's nothing wrong with them seeing what the decision was.
yeah, so long as we don't make any reference to the cost of this can go back, and I just don't want it to be,
I just see that, with John, it's just information. We don't,
so long as it's as information.
That's all it is.
I mean, all I did,
We're not gonna add anything to
like
it.
what I did tonight, I just read it, no commenting, just read it.
Okay. All right, ordinances are done.
I will plug away on,
Show me, have you started it,
started what?
filling out his spreadsheet? Because I couldn't see what they wanted. I could see the two columns with the amount and the multiplier, but I was like, where's the names and the parcel numbers
Well,
going?
I don't have, you know, but I mean, if you look way up at the top and you kind of go,
Mm-hmm.
everything that all the columns I have, they basically are the same.